Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Are you able to hear Mwalimu here? If you're able to hear Mwalimu, could you kindly say yes or Y for yes? You simply mention there Y for yes. I will be delighted to know whether you are able. Good afternoon, Karen. Great. That response tells me that you are able to then hear Mwalimu here. So is it possible for you to invite? You know, if you look at, for example, the class that we have here from Form 1 to Form 4, our online virtual April holiday classes, we happen to be having over 100 students. Then they should be members of this particular virtual meeting for them to be able to benefit, immensely. So is it possible for you guys to get those groups and then you tell these colleagues of yours, hey, please, this composition writing class has started and I want to see everybody because they are great presents to be gotten today. So before I introduce my guest, I would want to have many students attending. Currently we are 13, this is quite a low number, but I'm so sure that it will get better with your help. With your help, you should be able to get much better. Perhaps most of the students don't have the link to the class. Good afternoon, Daniel. Great. So we want to take like 2 minutes to invite friends. Our friends in this case here should be able to join. Our friends should be able to join here. We give them like 5 minutes. Great. Thank you very much. I can see for sure, as Karen told me, they are coming. Ah, 20, great. We have 1 more minute. We have 1 more minute. One more minute. What are we doing? We are currently inviting all our friends to join this live virtual meeting. This is basically a corporate social responsibility for us as a RCM college. We want to empower our younger brothers, sisters, kids to be great composition writers. All right, so as you can see, it is exactly 2:05, and here, ladies and gentlemen, we begin. I will have this recorded for your future reference. My name is Dr. Joshua Aura. I teach at RCM College. Basically, we teach these post-high school programs like CPA, CS, ACCA courses. And then, of course, we've been able to introduce a very good program for high school students. We have what we call the holiday tuition program for Form 1s, Form 2s, Form 3s, and Form 4s. We began this April, and I'm here to report that really we've seen good number of students attending our program, and whatever I normally see, like after every session, students over there are engaged, they're able to do their assignments, teachers are able to mark. Basically, the kind of students we shall be sending back to their respective schools will be quite different. They're going to be even more hardworking, and will really be here to celebrate their good outcomes when they close a school again in August. So today we are excited here to present to you compositions that have been done by great students, what we call award-winning compositions, not because your compositions are not that good, no, yours could even be better. So we are here to open the floor to great discussions where we shall be able to showcase one or two of the very best performed compositions, and then we get to see, I mean, where did these guys get it right? Is it imagery? Are they great in terms of what your creative writing, imaginative writing? Where did they perform very well, and what is there from their write-ups for us to be able to borrow? Because ultimately, good students, if your compositions are marked out of 20, then we should be able to get like 19, 18. But the moment you get like below, say 15, if it's out of 20, then you're not doing very well. We need to capitalize on this, given the fact that most of us, unlike you, unlike or rather us, the old kind of people, you guys have been able to watch so many cartoons. You're normally seeing what is happening around here. You are more creative than us. So it's all about knowing how you're going to fuse through your thoughts and, of course, get proper grammar for you to be able to put forth an award-winning composition. All right. So with me here is some young lady that I work with. Her name is Christine, but she should be able even to introduce herself better. I would want to welcome her and give her exactly an hour. Remember, she is the main party in this particular speech. I'll only come at the end of the tail end of the program to simply recap on what she's coming to teach us. So Christine, I don't know whether you are able to hear me. Yeah, please, you can go ahead and unmute yourself, and if possible, put on your video.
Okay, Doctor, I can hear you.
All right, Christine. I can't see your video, Christine. How about we should overcome?
Okay, I'm here. Okay, class. I'm Madam Christine. I like teaching, and I'm here today because I want us to talk something about composition. I want us to improve our composition. I know you guys are perfect. I know you guys can do well. It's not that you can't, but we are here to perfect our composition because we want to get an A in composition that is between 19 and 20 because our compositions are marked out of 20. So we are just here to perfect our composition. I want you to enjoy this class. I want you to cooperate, and I hope we can have a good outcome when we are done. So today we are going to talk about how to write a good composition. How to write a good composition. How to write a good composition. So please pay attention. I want us to get out of this place with something. Let us not waste our times. We want to write a good composition. So let me start because I have a lot of things to say. So for the sake of an hour, let me start. So if you want to write a good composition, please, number one, the first thing you have to understand, or what you should do when you want to write a good composition, is that you should understand the topic. Understand the topic. I hope you are seeing what I'm writing. You should understand the topic. You can tell me if you're seeing. Lynn, are you seeing? Seeing what I'm writing? Please, you can unmute and assure me. Lynn, are you with us? Lynn is not responding. Melvin.
Yes, I can hear you. I can.
Okay, sorry for that. So I was talking about understanding the topic, and I was saying that once upon, okay, in those years, I was asked to write a composition by my English teacher. My English teacher told me to write a composition about visiting my grandparents up country. So I was like, up country, what is up country? I never understood what I'm asked to write about. So I was like, I think up country is like, okay, this is a country, this is Kenya. Like I'm going somewhere up in this country. Maybe a place, just a place somewhere. Now that it is up country. I never understood what my teacher asked me to write about. So you have to understand the topic of what you have to write about. So make sure you write down that the first thing you have to do is you understand the topic, understand what you're going to write about, understand what you're going to tell us, so that you make your work easier for the examiner. So make sure that you do that, because by thoroughly understanding the topic, you will be better equipped to write a coherent composition. Are we together? Make sure you understand the topic. Then the second thing that you have to do if you want to improve your composition is to have a strong introduction. Make sure that you have a strong introduction. Make sure that you have a strong introduction. Begin with a compelling introduction that grabs the reader's attention and provide context for the rest of the composition. You have to grab my attention. I am reading your work. Make sure the way you start your work, it brings something, it takes my attention. We used to be told that these examiners, they always read the first paragraph, or the way you introduce your work. It was believed that they have they have many papers to mark. So the way you start your introduction is what will capture the readers, or rather the examiner's attention. And it is from that introduction that he or she will decide how many marks he or she is going to give you. So make sure that you have a good introduction. Okay? So still there in the introduction, you can start with an attention grabbing opening. Start with an attention grabbing opening. Start with an attention grabbing opening. An example of attention grabbing opening can be an anecdote. Who knows what an anecdote is? Karen, what is an anecdote? Karen. Hey, Karen. I want you to participate. I want us to be together because we want to start our introduction with an anecdote. So who knows what an anecdote is? Because an anecdote will help to give you a good introduction that will capture the reader's mind or attention. And from there, we believe that he or she will be able to determine the amount of marks that he or she will give you because you want an A. You want an A, guys. Karen, do you know what an anecdote is? Or maybe Karen is not with us. There is Faith. Faith. Or anyone who knows what an anecdote is. Anyone, guys? Anyone? Someone should say something. At least someone should say that he or she doesn't know. Hello? Okay. Let me pick an individual. Esther Gitumbu. Esther Gitumbu. Esther Gitumbu, do you know what an anecdote is? Esther.
Anecdote is a short, amusing, or interesting story about a real incident or person.
Pardon?
It's a short, amusing, or interesting story about a real incident or a person.
An interesting story is an anecdote. Okay, for this case, in the case of an introduction, an anecdote is something that you can tell us, something short that will grab our attention. For example, you can say, as a child, I once tried to impress my crush by performing a magic trick with disastrous results. Little did I know, okay, let me stop there. Like from that statement, when you start saying that, that person who is about to read your composition will be like, okay, what next? And that person will be like, I want to hear more. Yes. And that person will be like, I want to hear more from this student. What is he or she saying? From just the introduction that as a child, I once tried to impress my crush. Okay, he once tried to impress his crush. What next? Did she do it? What happened when he was about to impress his crush? So an anecdote is something that you can start your composition with so that it takes our attention. And as a teacher, as an examiner, I'll give you marks. Another example, okay, who has an example of an anecdote? An example of an anecdote?
Aliulizwa na baba, aliambia baba tamaliza last week Friday. Baba akakuja hiyo wiki. Hakumaliza. Akakuja tena, si baba alikuja Tuesday.
Hakuniuliza homework, danganya. Hakuuliza, mimi ndo nilienda. Amaza. Ni mimi ndo nilienda, si aliniambia niende. Mbona niliteremka akiwa hapa?
Someone asked Esther. I was asking for an anecdote or something that we can use to create, to take attention of the reader. An introduction. Any example? Who has an example of an? When my dog made me cry. Thank you, Rispa. When my dog made me cry. Then Rispa starts her composition. So the examiner will be like, when her dog made her cry. Okay, from that statement, I don't know anything. It has just captured my mind. Now I want to hear, I want to know. It means there is something that is following. Now I want to read this composition with all my energy. I want to pay attention to this composition. And from the look of things, this student is nice and these students will get good marks. Any other example of an anecdote? When the plane's engine blew up. When the plane's engine blew up. Okay, we don't know. This person was traveling. When the swimming pool turned yellow. Thank you, my guys. I can see you understanding what an anecdote is. Something that what we are going to start our composition with from today. Something that it leaves the reader in suspense. And now the reader wants to see what next. What is it that follows? Or for example, last summer, while hiking in the mountains, okay, what about you hiking in the mountains? We want to read, and that's a good introduction, and that was something that, okay, let me try to share another composition here. Then we can see how, where is that document? Made this one. There's a composition here. Just a minute. There's a composition here that is called Victory in Loss. Victory in Loss. I'm trying to share that composition. Just a minute. Okay, it seems I can't share, but it starts like this. Starts like this. Yeah. Yeah, that one. So this composition is called Victory in Loss. Victory in Loss. I hope you can see it. I hope you can all see it. As it starts, just yesterday, we buried my daughter. That is an anecdote. It has taken our attention. Just yesterday, we buried my daughter. So what? So the daughter died. So the daughter was buried yesterday. So we want to hear more about the story of this young lady or young man. We want to know what happened to her daughter. Yeah, and all that. So just yesterday we buried our daughter. That is an anecdote. That's an example of an anecdote. And this is an example of a perfect composition. And you can see it has started with that thing that is taking our attention. And it has been ranked among the best compositions. So starting our composition with a strong introduction that has something like an anecdote will make our composition good. I hope you all are seeing this composition about victory in loss. Then
Yes.
let's just have that composition there for this next point. And my next point is good writing. Good writing. Good writing. I hope you are seeing that neatness. I hope you guys are seeing. Esther, are you seeing? Are you seeing this composition the way it's written? Am I unmuted? Okay. I hope you guys are seeing that composition. Esther, are you
Yes.
seeing?
We are seeing it.
Ephraim, what do you think about this composition, about the neatness, about the writing? Ephraim? Okay, there is Esther. Oh, so you guys are seeing it. It is very neat. It is pretty good. Thank you, Ephraim. Thank you. So a good handwriting will help you earn good marks. So as you're writing your composition, we are at point number 3. Make sure that your writing is good. Your writing is okay. It is seen. Ensure that your writing is clear and easy to read. Strive to maintain consistent letter size, spacing, and slang throughout your writing. So just make it neat so that at least it makes the work of the reader easier. The reader won't have to struggle to see your writing. So good writing it's quite captivating, and the language used in the, thank you. So that's an example of a good composition. I wanted you to see the way this person wrote his or her composition, the way he started with the anecdote, and it's very clear and so obvious that he or she understood what he was going to write about. He understood the topic, or maybe the question that he or she was going to write about. So he understood the topic, and he had a good introduction, because he or she just started like, just yesterday we buried my daughter. That was so captivating, and that caught our attention. Then the person had a good writing. Okay, we go to the next point. The next thing is that you should avoid repetition of words. Avoid repetition of words. So let me stop sharing because I want you guys to see me. Yeah. So the next point is that you should avoid repetition of words. People tend to repeat certain words, unnecessary words. Like, why are you saying that? Repeat again, like you've repeated. Okay, let's put that aside. You can find someone has written a paragraph like, just yesterday we buried my daughter. It was a very sad moment for us. We buried my daughter because my daughter did this. So we buried my daughter, like that's buried my daughter is coming. You can choose to what can I say? You can choose to avoid that repetition and put another word in place of that, to replace that we buried my daughter, we buried my daughter, we buried my daughter with another word. So avoid unnecessary repetition of words. Avoid unnecessary repetition of words. What do you think? What are some of the words that, okay, who can give me who can unmute and say a paragraph that someone has repeated the same words? Something that we are trying to avoid here. Who can unmute and tell me? Where someone, a paragraph. Because the moment you'll tell me, it means you've known and you can't do that again. You will avoid repeating your words, you as a person. An example of a paragraph where someone has repeated words unnecessarily.
Are you guys ready to speak?
Pardon?
For example, when you're saying, when we were going home, then you repeat again and say, as we were going home. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good. Another one? Any other person? Any other person? An example. Thank you, Ivy. It was Ivy. Thank you. That was an example of repeating words unnecessarily. At your level, you can just choose to use another word in that place so that you avoid such things. So make sure that you avoid repeating words. Then another point is that avoid writing stories. Avoid writing stories. I hope you guys are writing these points. Avoid writing stories about being kidnapped. Avoid writing stories about being kidnapped. Okay, seriously. We are in the 21st century. We have various things we do. As doctor said, we watch cartoons, we go out, we have Netflix, we have everything. So in this century, writing about being kidnapped is out of date. You're writing, so we went, I was with my friends, a car came, I was kidnapped, I was taken somewhere. Please, that is out of date. As a good intelligent student, as you are writing your composition, avoid writing stories about being kidnapped. I don't want to believe that you do that. Do you do that? But you sound like good students, like, yeah, like you don't do that. Like, write about something. Write about technology. Tell us about something. Or tell us a story, a very interesting story. You can write a very interesting story without telling us about how you are kidnapped, how you are taken, hey, all that. Avoid those, my guys. So just try to be a student in the 21st century, a student with a lot of resources. Back then, we could write these stories and we could get marks, but nowadays it is discouraged in a way. Try to open your mind. Try to show your examiner that you are an open-minded student, that you can write things that make sense, that you can avoid these things that everyone always writes about. Think, these stories, this kind of stories can be written by those students in grade 4 students can write this and you will understand. But at high school level, let's avoid this. Are we together, Mary? Bridget, I hope you are together. Adrian, I hope you're understanding this, that we avoid writing these stories about kidnapping. Something else that we should avoid is that we should avoid writing about ogre stories. avoid writing about Oga stories. For example, I once marked a composition. A student had written a story about how they had gone to a farm, how they saw a big giant with, okay, that one is not encouraged. Avoid writing it goes and with avoid writing stories about being kidnapped. So the same time, just avoid writing stories about those ogre. Those stories are okay, they are in oral literature, but in our composition, we are trying to be open-minded. We are trying to communicate things that make sense. We are trying to show the world, or rather to show my examiner or my student that I know this and these things about the world. We are not going to those areas when we used to write about Oga stories. I guess you know those Oga stories. Yeah, thank you. You be realistic. Be realistic in your stories. Stories that we know, yes, these things do happen. Real stories about, yeah, thank you. But you know those Oga stories. Who knows one Oga story? One Oga story, it's in oral literature. Oga stories. I know you guys know Oga stories, so just avoid that. Something else is about punctuation. Don't know if you're seeing here. I think this is the last point. Something else is about punctuation. Punctuation. Surely, punctuation, just punctuating your sentence. When you're talking about punctuation, what are we saying? What is it about punctuation? What is it about punctuation? When you say we're talking about punctuation, what are we saying? What are we talking about? Anyone? What is Oga? Someone has asked what is Oga. Who can answer that? Who can answer that? Rispa is asking what is Oga. Rispa doesn't know what is Oga. Who can answer Rispa? A monster. Ivy says that Oga is a monster. Okay. Any other trial? Any other trial? What is Oga? Okay, in oral literature, we have Oga stories. These are stories about those affection being. Thank you, HP. Affection being good trial. I like students who try. Thank you so much. A mythical creature. Yeah, this is something that we don't know if it exists, but we were born and we find that they are ogres. We were told to believe that they have, I guess, one eye. They are mono-eyed. Something else, that they are very huge. Like, they are not normal human beings. That's what we were told to believe. Those are ogre stories. And they're in oral literature. So Rispa, we will talk about oral literature later, but Oga stories are in oral literature. These are stories that mostly it is believed that these Ogas, they always harm people, and those people will always go back there and get, it is believed most of the times they swallow maybe it's animals or human beings, and the hero will always go back. Okay, I don't want to talk about oral literature, imaginative world. I don't want to talk about oral literature, but Oga are those giants. So you like in this perspective, maybe you'll be telling us about a giant. You went to the forest, you met a giant. So those are Oga stories. So that's what I'm saying that we should avoid. Thank you, Rispam. Then I was talking about punctuation. I was asking that in punctuation, what are we saying? As you're writing our composition, if I say punctuation, we want to punctuate our composition. What do we talk about? Karen, where is Karen? I'm interested about Karen. I asked her a question and I don't think she answered. Okay, in punctuation, we talk about starting our sentences with capital letters. What else? What else about punctuation? You can chat. Putting full stops at the end of sentences. Thank you, Phyllis. Yeah, make sure when you finish one sentence, you put a full stop. Mola says, these are things that make sentences more presentable. Thank you. Use punctuation marks where necessary. What are these punctuation marks? For example, use of commas. Thank you, Melvin. When you see that composition, victory, it was a victory of laws. It is very well punctuated. Exclamation marks. Yeah, tell us that you are surprised. Try to show us so that when the reader is reading, Mary, full stops, thank you. So that when the reader exclamation marks, thank you. So when the reader is reading a very well punctuated composition, the reader will go with feelings. So here you are surprised, and he or she will also be surprised. Wow. And you know, when you well punctuated your sentences, it brings a very good understanding. He or she will understand you well. And okay, honestly, if I've understood your composition, I've understood your feelings in this composition, I've understood what you're saying simply because you punctuated your sentences well, why shouldn't I give you a mark, a very good mark? So make sure that you have punctuated your sentences well, please. Start sentences with capital letters. Use full stops, use commas, maybe when you're mentioning those items or whatever. What about semicolon and colon? Where do we use them? Semicolon and colon. Phyllis, where do we use semicolon and colons? Because you've not mentioned them. You've only talked about full stops, commas, and starting. Yeah, semicolon can be used to list items. Anything else when listing things? Yeah, thank you, Mary and Ephraim. Yeah, I like you guys because you're cooperating and you're making we understanding each other. So from all that I understand, or I guess, or I'm very positive that we are going to punctuate our sentences well. We are going to avoid writing Oga stories and all these things that we have mentioned. Thank you. Something else, I don't know if you guys will see here. Yeah, you will see. Something else is that avoid long paragraphs. Avoid long paragraphs. That's number 8. Please, for example, let's just use that composition that I'm giving you. That person never used long paragraphs. That person never used, let me see if I can share it again. This person never used long paragraphs. They want us to read paragraph 1. Some people always use like about 10 sentences in a paragraph. No, it does not work that way because even the reader will get tired. Like, what are you saying? I'm tired of reading all these things. Make your paragraphs short. So for example, paragraph 1, who can read for us paragraph 1? Very short, even from the look of, like just by seeing. Okay, Ivy, you can read paragraph 1. Ivy,
Just yesterday, we buried my daughter, my angel. You will think I will be distraught. Contrary to that, I am neither upbeat. It was less like a burial ceremony and more like a celebration of life. Pendo, the late Pendo, was the
okay, you can start. Ivy,
Just yesterday, we buried my daughter. Just yesterday, we buried my daughter, my angel. You will think I will be distraught. Contrary to that, I am neither upbeat. It was less like a burial ceremony and more like a celebration of life. Pendo, the late Pendo was the
Embodied
establishment of kindness and
benevolence.
benevolence.
Yeah, so you see, that paragraph is very short and straight to the point. Just
Yes.
yesterday, we buried my daughter, my angel. Something else is that we should avoid long sentences. Just yesterday, we buried my daughter, full stop. This person started his sentence with a capital letter. Just yesterday, we buried my daughter, full stop. Very well punctuated sentence and very short and easy to understand. So just yesterday, we buried my daughter, my angel. That's another sentence. So as well as we are avoiding long paragraphs, make sure that you are also avoiding long sentences, because it's so obvious that long sentences will lead you to long paragraphs, and that thing is going to make the examiner tired. Or rather, what are all these? Why should I read all this? So let it be short. You can see from this. So just yesterday, we buried my daughter, my angel. You will think I will be distraught. Full stop. Contrary to that, very well punctuated, comma, I am rather upbeat. Full stop. Short sentences. It was less like a burial ceremony and more like a celebration of life. Full stop. Pendo, the late Pendo, was the only embodiment of kindness and benevolence. So you see, this person is using very short sentences and having very short paragraphs. Those short paragraphs, even they make your work neat, rather than having very long sentences that will just disturb you or disturb the reader and bring chaos to you and deny you marks. So another point. Another point. Wait a minute. Another point. Use engaging language. Point number 9 is that you should use engaging language. Okay, there was that thing about in primary school about using idioms, about using proverbs and all that thing. All those things to make sure that you make your composition good. And I'm so sure that we all know that at this level, we are trying to avoid too many of that. But at the same time, it's not that you should not use those. So use engaging language. Use descriptive language, varied sentence structures, and vivid imagery to captivate the examiners and maintain their interest. What are these? Okay, we are not supposed to use all of them, but what are these things that you think we should include them in our composition, maybe to make them interesting, to make them sweet and good to read? What are these things? What are these things that we are supposed to include in our composition? Name them. Phrasal verbs. Thank you, Ivy. Rennie says idioms. What are examples of idioms? Examples of idioms. So we are going to use them once in a while, but at least make sure in a paragraph, maybe you idiophones, thank you. Stylistic devices, Karen. Vasilisa, thank you for participating in class. What about metaphors? Yeah, metaphors, those ones that compare directly. Proverbs, thank you, Musabi. These are good students. What else? What else? Onomatopoeia, thank you, Melvin. Where is Stacy? Stacy, say something. What else should we use to make our composition captivating? To make our composition sweet? Stacy. Stacy. Okay, all these things, but make sure that don't use them like in every sentence, or maybe they become too much. No. We are high schoolers. Ivy, thank you. We are high schoolers and we're going to avoid too much of this. So we're just going to use where possible, and make sure you use them where possible. Yeah. So that you just say, don't say, and please something else. Avoid those ones that are outdated, like as happy as a king. No. We're not going to use, in Kenya, we don't even have a king. So you can just use something else in the place of a king, as happy as something else. Use them where possible. Don't come here with like, okay, you are saying something different and your proverb is different. If I may ask, what is that? What is what? What is what? Okay, as she's saying, so avoid those that you don't know their meanings or you don't know where they're supposed to be used. Yeah. Yeah, so oxymoron, or Felix is asking, what are oxymorons? Who's going to answer, Felix? What is an oxymoron? Anyone with an idea? What is an oxymoron? An oxymoron. Okay, Julius. I guess contrasting statements, e.g., Raeli. For example of those contrasting statements. A silent song, like they're contrasting, like a silent song. We all know that a song can never be silent. So a silent song. Any other example? Any other example? For example, the common ones that people always say that I am seriously joking. I'm seriously joking. Like, you're seriously joking. I hope you get it. That is an oxymoron. It's contrasting. Thank you, Stacy. Completely unfinished. Thank you. A deafening silence, Faith. Thank you. So that's an oxymoron. So, okay, you are suppose I'm reading your composition and it's had something like that. That one will capture my attention and I'm like, okay, this student really organized chaos lane. Thank you. And I'll be like, this student really understands what he or she is saying. Like, he's trying to put here an oxymoron, and yes, it's giving. That's a mark. Thank you. Jumbo shrimp. Okay. Jumbo shrimp. Jumbo shrimp. Yeah, I get it. Jumbo is something. Yeah. Shrimp. Organized chaos. Bittersweet. Thank you. Enough with oxymorons. At least we understand all those things that we're supposed to use to make our composition good. Bittersweet. Thank you. All those things that are there to make it interesting. Thank you, my guys. So we got something else. So make sure that those things, don't overuse them, please. Don't overuse them. Use them well. Maybe like once in a paragraph, like that, because we are high schoolers, we are not supposed. Then avoid overly complex language. Okay. Avoid overly complex language. Number 10, avoid overly complex language. Okay, you might want to prove to your examiner or rather the reader that you know. But okay, this reader may see that you might be challenging the reader. You can write a very complex language that the reader may end up not understanding. If I don't understand your work, what am I saying about it? How many marks am I going to give you? So just try to use a regular language, or rather a simple language that's easy to understand. That's as long as you have all this, you put all this in place, and you have a language that is easy to understand, very well punctuated, and all the writing and the stories are interesting, you're going to get a mark. So avoid complex languages. Well, it's important to demonstrate your vocabulary. Yeah, obvious, you're supposed to use a good vocabulary as you're writing, but as it is important to demonstrate your vocabulary and writing skills, avoid using those overly complex language that may alienate or confuse your reader. Aim for clarity and simplicity in your writing. Be simple in your writing. Use simple vocabularies. Use simple vocabulary, but make sure that there, for example, come here. You had a teacher in class saying maybe, okay, paraphernalia. That word is very complex. I'm going to use this word in my composition so that I get a mark. No. It's not a must that you use a complex language while writing in you are writing a composition for you to get your marks. So avoid that overly complex languages so that you get a marks. Just use a simple language and get all these things that we're talking about, and you're going to get an A in your composition. So write that avoid overly complex language. Something else so obvious is that check on your tenses. Check on your tenses. Check on your tenses. These are small mistakes that will leave a teacher leaving red marks in your writing. The marks, like this one is not okay, this is not. The moment I finish marking your composition, I'm looking at it, all these red marks, all this person does not know the difference between present tense, past tense, and all that, the past participles, whatever, all that. So make sure, as before you go to an exam room, make sure, okay, yes, you can do some by mistake, so make sure that you concentrate on your work. Avoid using tenses where they're not needed. Avoid telling us, I will take you to town. You will take me to town. What's that? So you are using a wrong tense where it's not needed. So something else is just that, please avoid, check on your tenses and avoid using those wrong tenses, because they give another version of you. It brings something. It makes me as a teacher think something about you, like there is something you're not understanding. You are not well in your grammar. There is just like tenses of all the things. Tenses, even a class 4 kid knows tenses. Even a grade 1 kid knows that this one should be said this one this way and this one. So at this level, if you are confusing about tenses, no. So that one will slightly give a bad picture about you and will deny you your marks. Something else, because of time, spelling errors. That's number 12. Spelling errors. Spelling errors. This is so common. Small mistakes that will cost you. We all love English. We all want an A. English is so simple, by the way, and I like English since those days, and I don't see a reason why someone should not get an A in English because of such silly questions like spelling errors. Why should you have a spelling error? Okay, if you don't know how to spell a word, just avoid it. Avoid it. Don't write it. Why write a word that you can't spell? What are the examples of commonly misspelled words? Examples of commonly misspelled words? Any? Stacy? Daniel Kamau hasn't said anything. Tomorrow. Tomorrow is always misspelled as you write a word and how it's misspelled and how it's misspelled and how it's supposed to be written. Tomorrow. Okay, do they put a single R? Environment. Yeah, environment. People can write environment without the N. Like environment. Continuous. Yeah, continuous. The UOUS in the end. Someone can put something else. There and there. Yeah, thank you, Mary. Thank you. That one. Know how to differentiate the there. Those theirs. Know how to differentiate between there and there. This one is a place. You're talking about place and you're telling about this. You're telling us about this. That's wrong. Angel instead of, yeah, angel and angle. People tend to misspell that one. Angel and angle. Any other? What about privilege? Privilege. No, you guys have written these ones. Sorry. Privilege is always misspelled as. Privilege is always misspelled as Stacy. How do people always misspell it? Privilege. Principal and principal. Thank you. This one. Principal and principal. The head of a high school and you having your principal as a person. Privilege and privilege. Yeah, this one is always misspelled as privilege. Many people tend to write it as privilege. This one will cost you. This one will cost you. Then luck and luck. Thank you. You're talking about luck, like someone being like good things happening to her or him, and you're saying like lack of something. Practice and practice. I see you guys know the definitely. Then there is definitely with definitely. Definitely misspelled as definitely. Such things loud. Then there is occasion. Those things will. So make sure that you spell your words right in your composition, because the moment you misspell those words, they will cost you. Something else. Let me see. Something else is that before we talk about us reading widely, so that we will be able to write good composition, let's talk about this. We are winding up. Please, number 13, try to incorporate, okay. Try to incorporate a mix of sentences. Try to incorporate a mix of sentences. How many types of sentences do we have for us to write in our composition? How many types? Or rather, name them, the types of sentences that we have. Anyone? Okay, we have simple sentences. Simple sentences. Something else, complex sentences. Thank you. Then we have We have simple, complex, and compound. Thank you. And compound. I think these are good. So simple sentences, we know that are those ones that have subject, verb, and object. What about, let's come to compound. What about compound? Okay, for the sake of time, compounds are connected by coordinating conjunctions. Coordinating conjunction, and these ones are connected by the other type of conjunction, subordinating conjunction. And the examples of coordinating are and, by, and or. So make sure as you're writing your sentences, you use all these sentences. The one that has subject, verb, and object. For example, Christine went to school. Christine is the subject, went is the verb, and to school is the object. Then you connect those, you have those sentences like compound that are connected with coordinating conjunction. Then the complex one. Phony which conjunction? Phony subordinating conjunction. Coordinating conjunction are only three: and, by, and or. The others are subordinating. Please. There's something else for us to write a good composition apart from all this that we've learned today. Make sure that you read widely. Make sure that you read your books. Those books, make sure that don't read those set books. Can read other books so that they can help you in having a good vocabulary and opening your mind. And please, as you finish your composition, it's also good to leave the reader in suspense. Like, don't be that open in your composition. Try to have something that the reader will be like, okay, so like it's like he or she wants to read more of your composition, because that will make your composition interesting. Please request explain point number 5. What was point number 5? Avoid writing stories about being kidnapped. We all know what being kidnapped is. So like in your composition, you are telling us about how you are kidnapped. These are very common things that people always write about. Like, I was going somewhere, I was kidnapped, avoid those. We say that you should open your mind and tell us something. Be realistic. Stories about kidnapping, those are well written in primary schools and are given marks in primary schools. But as a high schooler and as someone who is sitting for your final exam, please just avoid writing stories about being kidnapped. Those are so obvious stories that were written a long time ago and are still written by kids. Yeah, so avoid those. Any other question? We are winding up. Rennie, I hope you've understood. Just kidnapping, the obvious kidnapping. Avoid writing about those. Okay, there being no any other question, I would like us to end our class here. I hope
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Welcome.
Great. That's very good presentation from Christine. Can we give her one round of, we need to appreciate her, isn't it? Clap, yes. All right. All right. So then we shall be welcoming Christine often to come and now look at our composition. Look at our compositions and tell us, for example, which one is the very best. And of course, as usual, as you know, Mwalimu here, the very best is always rewarded. The very best is always rewarded.
Rewarded.
Okay, great. Great, great. So first of all, before I make my conclusions there, my conclusive talk here this afternoon, I would want to know who was very, very active in this particular presentation. We give them a reward. Who was very, very active in this particular virtual meeting? We give them a reward. I like rewarding my young followers here. Who was very, very active? Ninja undercover Leo, who was very, very active. You guys should be very fast in, pointing out. It was not raining, then you have not even heard about you. Today, I'm now hearing you now. When you're talking about your name here. Phyllis, don't vote for yourself. Vote for someone else. Vote for someone else. Vote for someone else. Somebody who was very, very active. Who is that? So I can see Natasha saying Stacy, who was very active. Phyllis, you are getting, in this case, here somebody who is mentioning your name here. Phyllis, okay, Ivy. Should be Ivy. So I'm waiting, Phyllis, Ivy. Stacy has voted for Ivy. So then what I will do is to take Ivy's number and the Phyllis's number. We give them a present right now. Can they give us their phone numbers? Ivy and Phyllis. Please move with speed. Stacy is also getting, people voting for her. Or Stacy is also getting people voting for her. So it should be 3 people. I know Stacy must be my daughter, so she doesn't have to give us her number. I'll be able to give her a present here. Unless these are different Stacy. So I'm waiting for the phone numbers. Phyllis, I can see your number there. Now we are no longer voting. Now we are through with the voting. Now I'm just getting numbers. We send this present. I like appreciating my high school students. All right, so we have Phyllis here. So please, whatever amount I sent to you, and ensure that you are able to buy like a small storybook or something, because Teacher Christine has told us that we must read widely. We must read widely. So today, this cash is not for KFC. Just go to the streets there. You should be able to get a very good storybook. I believe it's a second-hand one. So that's Helen. It's gone to, so we have this other Ivy lady who read very well. Let me send for Ivy. Why? Are you together with Ivy? Are you together with Ivy or something? Is Ivy using iPhone? No, Ivy, I saw you using your own name here. Or you don't have a phone, I don't know. So Ivy have moved really slowly. All right. Now, the things that I've been able to pick, Ivy, are you able to give you a number here? I can't see your number at all. I can see you raising your hand. Just give me your number. That's all I need, Ivy. Are you able to unmute yourself and talk to us, Ivy? Phyllis, I don't want to believe you. She can't send to me. Then what I'll do, Ivy, I'll give you my number. Perhaps you know my number from the groups. Phyllis wants me to unmute her. Okay. So we have here Phyllis. Yes, Phyllis.
I'm saying that she can't send to you because she's sending directly to me. Now she can't reach you. She has sent me the number. Now that's her number.
Oh, but
That's
then I've
not
been able to
mine.
send. I've been able to send. Okay. How about now your number? Also, you got some present, is it? You're supposed to get some present, right?
Yes, my number is starting with 0720, but this one with 25, it's for Ivy.
Okay.
It's not mine.
How about okay, the person I'm supposed to send this money, is it Helen Moshiri
Yes, it's my mom.
or your mom? Great. So
Yes.
then what I would want to get is now Ivy's number, right?
Yes, it's that one that I've sent right now.
Now there are very many communications. If you don't mind, send it again, please.
Okay.
we shall overcome. Now, from what, ladies and gentlemen, I've been able to hear from Madam Christine here, number one, if we would want our compositions here to be outstanding, then we must avoid the cliche. I mean, when you start telling us stories to do with the organ, you know, so many people have written about organs, all right? So you start giving us stories about what so many other people have been writing in the past, you don't stand really a very good chance. Even similes, you know, similes are good, you can make use of them, so long as you know how to connect them very well in your story. Good, but again, avoid the cliche ones, like as ugly as a scarecrow. I mean, we started hearing those kind of similes long time ago. They are better similes. Ladies and gentlemen, the other thing that I would want to add here, which of course Teacher Christine has been able to tell us about those connecting words, it will be very good for us to know how we are moving from one paragraph to another. How do we connect sentences here? The conjunctions. I would want to see students in this case here using however, moreover, etc, etc. So, right, so now I can see IV's number because I had a problem with getting it. I don't know what happened with IV today. Perhaps she's a classmate to Phyllis, which is very good. So then I should be able to, so great, 0725, right? Now I shall also confirmed. I was a little bit apprehensive, but we shall overcome. 0725 375 375 082. All right. Great. Great. I can see a ninja is getting a request there. Just a moment, I finish with this lady. Has she given me the correct number really? Repeat here. Zero 0725 375. Nancy. All right. Great. Great. So now I believe Ivy and Phyllis, you guys have been able to get your presents. Now the thing is, moving forward, before we talk about essays, I would want us to get into some serious business here. Let me just read something that I would want you guys to do. What I would want you to do is to write for us a great composition. And this is how it reads. And we shall be able to mark it. And by tomorrow, Teacher Christine will be able to tell us who is the award winner. And the award winner should be able to get a very good present. So this is how it reads. I hope you guys have your pens and you're able to write it down. The day I had been waiting for finally arrived. I repeat again. The day I had been waiting for finally arrived. I woke up excited. I woke up excited, looking forward to the interesting day ahead that was to be spent in a game park, now with so many dogs. I repeat, the day I had been waiting for finally arrived, full stop. I woke up excited, looking forward to the interesting day ahead that was to be spent in a game park with now so many dots following that you should be able to continue with it. I repeat for the very last time, the day I had been waiting for finally arrived. I woke up excited, looking forward to the interesting day ahead that was to be spent in a game park with so many dots following now. You should be able to fill up those dots. So have you been able to take in that all right. So great. So they've been able to take that starting section of our composition. So I want you to put yourself in an exam environment and write your composition to completion. And then, of course, we shall only mark your work if you are in our paid groups. So go to the English paid group and send your work there. Send your work there. So please remember what Madam Christina has told us, that for us to be able to be very good writers, we need to be avid readers. We must be reading a lot. And we should not, in this case here, just put ourselves well within the set books alone. No, we have to expand our knowledge. So whenever you get time, for example, your father buys like Sunday Nation, just get Sunday Nation and try to read areas that are captivating. There will be something new that you'll be able to get out of that. You will get outside that group of students who like writing about augurs throughout. All right. So we must get rich in terms of what we are reading, in terms of the vocabulary. And vocabulary, they should be very modest. Don't in this case here try scaring the examiner. Most of those big terms you'd want to use to scare your examiner with, you may not be able to know how to fuse them very well, correctly in your composition. And unless you are very good at them, mostly from the words I've seen, if you get somebody using a very, very big word, chances are they don't know how to use that word correctly in their composition. So, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a good afternoon. For the title, okay. All right, let me repeat here. So I'll read slowly. Let me see whether I can copy this. No, it's a PDF document. So I start. The day I had been waiting for finally arrived. I woke up excited, looking forward to the interesting day ahead that was to be spent in a game park. So many dots thereafter. The day I had been waiting for finally arrived. I woke up excited, looking forward to the interesting day ahead that was to be spent in a game park, with so many dots there. So I would want to see students who will be able to write about the Big Five and their experiences in a game park. Good experiences, bad experience in a game park. The thing is, it should be really very captivating. It should be very, very captivating. You should be able to show the examiner that you are very creative. I would really be interested in seeing how you're moving from one paragraph to the next paragraph, how you're making use of course, those things that Teacher Christine has taught us. Otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a wonderful afternoon hosting you. As usual, I know you shall keep RCM to be your holiday partner, holiday tuition partner, moving forward in all other subsequent closing holidays like August, December. You shall be partnering with RCM. Anybody who is interested in making any inquiries regarding our high school tuitions, please call us. Our number is 0793 345 000. 0793 345 000. So as I sign off like this, like a ninja, I hope there is nobody who deserved their present and I'm running away without giving them their present. Thank you and bye. See you another time.
Bye.
Okay, great. Are we meeting tomorrow? We shall overcome. First of all, write your composition. I get to see your composition. And then I'll be able to make a decision whether Madam Christine will come and meet you people. Of course, I teach mathematics. I don't teach, in this case here, composition. I don't teach English. But I know the moment you're good in those languages, mathematics, and of course, language is English, then even mathematics will be quite a simple thing. Because sometimes people fail in mathematics because whenever they get those words, like at least, moreover, they're not able to use those words very well mathematically, because at times their English is poor. So it's good. Those subjects complement each other very well. Thank you. Thank you. Great. Present well received. Great. Great.